Put on your helmets and buckle your chin straps for the wildest podcast held in the Steel City. Dubs and Chickenhawk will give you a taste of the past in fried jumbo.
I remembered Barry Pearson. I knew he was a backup receiver.
I don't remember him.
And it was on specialty. I knew that, I remember him. And he had said that. He said, Bill, I never took a snap all year offensively.
He throws them in at the most
he said,
important time of the year.
When Chuck told me to go in and tell Terry to run the square in.
That's amazing.
He said Chuck was keen enough to know that they're not going to be looking for me
him to have the
run
ball.
They're not going to look to me to run a square in. They're not going to look to me to run anything.
Right.
Because,
Right.
he said, they probably think when the Raiders looked at the lineup, when we line up and I'm back there, and they're figuring he's going to block
he's the last person to get the ball.
He's the last person that's going to get the ball.
Yeah, they didn't even have him on film.
And Barry said that. He said, I figured that's why I was so open. He said, nobody covered me.
That is so interesting. Huh?
Yeah, it is real interesting.
But he said Terry must thought he didn't think I was deep enough to get the first down. He didn't want to take a chance.
And he's running for his life.
And he throws it to Frenchie.
That's crazy.
And Franco says, Frenchie will never tell. Never. That's what Franco said. He said he will never tell.
It's funny. He got hit. Was it Tatum that hit?
Tatum.
Yeah.
Myron Cove said it best. He says to this day that ball bounced off of Tatum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he watched slow motion film and everything. See, they didn't have instant replay in those days. They had instant replay.
Who knows?
Who knows? They may have caught it whatever way it went. But Myron always said it bounced off of Tatum.
Yeah.
But Frenchie,
he won't say.
He's a guy. I got to tell this quick, funny one about Frenchie. I went to Dan Rooney's funeral at St. Paul's Cathedral, and who am I sitting with? But Frenchie. Never met him.
What a cool name, Frenchie Fuqua.
Yeah.
Didn't he wear like a goldfish in his shoe or something?
We had to meet at the stadium.
Yeah.
We had to meet at the stadium and take a bus over to St. Paul's Cathedral, and Frenchie sat with me, and then he sat with me at the funeral, and we got to chatting, and in fact he gave me his cell phone. He said, Bill, call me sometime. He said, we can talk some more.
Yeah.
And he told me this quick story. He said, I live in Detroit. I said, yeah, I figured that. And he said they were going to have a big banquet in downtown Detroit. The tickets were like $500 each. And I was going to reveal what really happened on that play.
Oh.
It was publicized in the Detroit news.
Yeah.
The place was packed. And they all wanted to hear I'm supposed to say what really happened. And that's the way they advertised it. I said, when he told me what he did, I said, Frankie, you're too much. He said, I got up the mic, and everybody's at the tip of their chairs. And he said, all I can tell you is it was an immaculate reception. He said they wanted to run me out of there.
Yeah, I bet.
They booed. He said everything. I said, Frenchie, you're too much. He said, well, that's what I told him. He said, I wasn't going to tell him. He said, I don't care how much money they paid.
Yeah.
So what was it? The rule was different then. So like if it went off a defender and you caught it, you didn't.
Yeah, the rule was different in those days. Yeah,
So
yeah.
If it went off the defender last, and then if an offensive player caught it, it wouldn't be called that way, right?
Yeah.
It would be an incomplete
Yeah, if it
pass.
bounced off of Frenchie, it was an illegal throw.
Off your offensive player to another offensive player.
Yeah.
Two offensive players couldn't catch it. Yeah,
Right.
But if it bounced off of Tatum,
Then you could catch
a live
it.
ball.
Yeah.
And it's a live ball, right?
And then Franco said, when I headed for the ball, all I know is that ball was heading toward the ground, and I grabbed it.
Yeah. Right. He didn't know what.
Oh, that was amazing how athletic you'd have to be to get that so low and just keep your footing and not fall over. He did a face plant, but he just
he
caught his
he was serious.
balance.
Yeah,
Franco was so adamant. He said, I can assure you that ball did not hit the ground.
Yeah, it didn't hit the
It doesn't look like it does.
Yeah, he
No,
said it didn't hit the ground. He said, I had it cupped in my hand.
Right.
But anyway, that's some of the things. Barry Pearson's story was unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Those things you find out from, meeting people and stuff.
Yeah.
And talking.
Yeah. What was ironic at that dinner that night that Franco was gone, he had died 2 days earlier. There were 2 of the Oakland Raider players there. They invited him to that dinner. One of them, he just hated to see. He'd come right up on the mic and he said, "That ball hit Frenchie." The other guy was more sympathetic. He said, "Franco and I became great friends after that game and this and that." And he said, "I can't say what happened.
Couldn't happen to a better man."
Yeah, he was real nice about it, but not the other Raider. He was
bitter.
Yeah, the one guy was Filippiano. I remember him. And, the other guy, he still carried his hatred for that play.
That's okay.
At that bank, Joe Green, and I was sitting with Joe when he told this story about that game where the Steelers went out and beat the Raiders to win the AFC title, and now they go on to play, I think, the Vikings in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Vikings.
He said, all Chuck said to us before the game, we're out there in Oakland. He said he didn't say anything until we're ready to go out the door for the kickoff. And all he said to us was, "We have the better football team." That's all he said. And Joe said, it hit us. He said, if Chuck says we're going to whip these. And they held them to nothing that game. The total yards was unbelievable. And Joe said that's what did it with us.
Yeah, they respected Chuck Noll for
He
sure.
said when Chuck said that to us, he said that's all he had to say.
Wow, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I do think about how deep that team was. The Steelers, there wasn't a bad person at any position.
No.
It seemed like.
No.
Like defensively, you had those front 4 that were just serious players, and then you had Jack Ham behind them, and Andy Russell and Jack Lambert, and
probably their best team may have been that 1976 team because they won it in 74 and 75.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they would have won it again.
Yeah,
but they went down and played the Baltimore Colts and beat them.
Yeah,
and then they got 2 backs got hurt out of the game.
Yeah,
they're going out to play Oakland without Frenchie and Harris, and their backup he was out.
Yeah,
they had to use a one-set backfield offense. It was unbelievable. They couldn't do it.
No,
that's why they lost.
Too thin,
they lost because they had all these guys got banged up in the Baltimore game.
Yeah, Baltimore. I remember that Baltimore Colts.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, I was asked to speak at a Veterans Affair.
I heard that went real well.
Yeah, how'd it go?
I had some friends.
It was really nice. I'll have to admit, it was heartwarming. And I was honored to speak. But anyway, they asked me at the end. They had some questions during the time that I played. Who were the best that I played against? So I broke it down by position. I said that's the only way I can do it.
Yeah.
I said quarterback. I'd say Unitas and Bart Starr.
Bart Starr.
They were. I said those 2 guys were running back. I said Jimmy Brown. Receiver, I said John Unitas had a receiver probably none of you heard of, but he caught everything Unitas threw. His name was Ray Berry. I said he could catch.
Wow.
I said offensive lineman, you never heard of this guy, Dick Stanfill, and he could play. He was an offensive guard from the Redskins. Ernie Stotler was the defensive lineman, I said. Linebacker, I said Joe Schmidt. He was the best. And I said, I don't say who the best defensive back because he's my best friend, but I said, I got to say Dick LeBeau.
Wasn't it 56 interceptions or some crazy number like that? I mean, he's up.
He knew where to be, right?
62.
62.
62.
Wow, that's
still
crazy.
Detroit's all-time interception. And they didn't throw like they threw.
No,
Right.
they didn't throw at all.
Yeah.
He knew where to be.
But
That's
62.
why he's a great coach.
I mean, that's
Dick and I just talked last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was here. He was honored last weekend, to the Steeler Hall of Honor.
That's quite
Yeah.
an honor for him.
Yep. Yeah.
He deserves every bit of it.
Oh, boy.
no doubt.
Yeah.
I remember many years ago.
Kennywood.
Yeah.
What else?
I was taking my kids to Kennywood for their school picnic, and we went in to eat. This is probably, I don't know how many years ago, but maybe 12, 15, something like
15
that.
years ago.
And we're getting something to eat there at one of the refreshment places, and there he is, Mr. Billy Priatko, working at Kennywood. What got you to Kennywood? Why did you want to do that?
You know, I loved Kennywood Park. Ever since I was in grade school in North Braddock, we used to take
right across the river.
We'd take the streetcar to Kennywood on picnic day. Mm-hmm. It was a big thing to go to Kennywood on picnic day, you know, from grade school and junior high.
Was it like your community picnic?
No, it was, they called it the school picnic.
School picnic.
Right.
The
whole school district
the school goes.
went to Kennywood.
They still do that, don't they?
They still do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I was in high school, I worked for 2 years, my junior and senior year at Kennywood, selling in a popcorn stand. So now I go to Pitt, and I stayed there. I worked at Pitt 3 of my 4 years at Pitt. I worked at Kennywood. I loved it. 5 years in high school and at Pitt. So now I'm there for 5 years. And years later, they said that they needed some help, and they asked anybody that was Kennywood alumni, would they be interested in coming back to work? I said, heck yeah, this is... I said, this would be...
How old would you have been at the time?
Well, I worked at Kennywood up until last year.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. And so I think totally the 5 years, high school and college, I worked 20 years, the last 20. So I worked up until last year and 20 years previous to that. The only reason I stopped working is that they went to self-serve to our refreshment stand.
Oh, boy.
We used to serve our drinks.
Yeah.
Pepsi drinks and water and Gatorade and all that. Now they went self-serve, which I said that was a bad mistake because the pilferage is terrible. The people come up and they don't pay. They just take off. But anyway, that was it. You know, we were out of work. And I said, well, anyway, I said, hey, heck, I'm almost 93. It's time to smell the roses.
You might have the most time ever at Kennywood.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I...
certainly the longest
I just love
gap of
working at Kennywood. And I have... two stories. First of all, the human resource director was a Pitt man. He graduated from Pitt.
Okay.
And so
That's great.
He and I really hit it off because he knew I was a Pitt guy and played football there and all that. Joe Barron was his name. So Jerome Gibbous was the manager of the whole park, and he was so good to me. So anyway, I'm working in my refreshment stand. You know, I had so many people come up, kids I had, it would be almost like Tammy coming up to my stand. I had in school, I taught, they come up and say, Mr. P, is that you?
Yeah. That's what we did.
That's me, you know.
Yeah.
I see so many people that I was associated with over the years. It warmed my heart, and that's why I loved it. I loved talking to the people. So one day, a guy come down from the Post-Gazette to my stand, and... he said, the PR director said, come on down to interview for an article for the Post. I said, what's that all about? They said, well, you're a former Steeler working at Kennywood. I said, that's no big deal. It's my hobby, you know.
Yeah.
They said, no, we want to interview you. So, oh, my goodness, there was a story about that long in the Post-Gazette a couple of days later. But anyway, he said to me, what's your best memory, you know, from working here at Kennywood? I said, anytime I would come to work, it was a nice day. I used to sing this hymn to the workers. They were all high school kids that I work with. And I would say, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. You know, I would sing that, you know. And I did that traditionally for 25 years. Say, oh, what a beautiful morning. We've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going our way. And they all loved it. But anyway, so I said to the reporter, I said, well, probably my most memorable enjoyment here at the park related to the Pitt Band. He said, the Pitt Band? I said, yeah. I said, well, you know, in August they have these fall festival. They have high school bands and college bands that come over and they march through the park at night. It's a big thing at Kennywood in August and call it the fall festival. So I said the Pitt Band was going to perform this particular day. So they were all there in the afternoon, and 225, 250 of them. You know,
Wow.
they're all lined up in our refreshment stand to get a Pepsi drink.
Yeah.
And I said to my 2 or 3 high school kids, they're all from West Mifflin High School, I said to them, gee, many crickets. I said, we'll be here till tomorrow serving drinks.
Yeah.
250 pit band. And they all had their pit band shirts on and this and that. So the one gal come up to me in the stand, and she said, Mr. Priatko, she looked at me, she said, I told everybody here you played football at Pitt. And I looked at her, and I said, she was the daughter of an Orthodox priest from McKeesport. And she knew me from, the past
church.
in some respect. And she said, I told everybody that you played football at Pitt. And I said, yeah, I was blessed. And she says, well, you have to sing Hail to Pitt with us. And I remembered the words from Hail to Pitt. We had to learn them when I was a freshman,
Yeah.
And so they came up 25 at a time, and we'd sing Hail to Pitt. And 25 more would come up, and we'd sing Hail to Pitt, the whole thing. Hail to Pitt, every loyal son, hail to Hill. Till the victory is won, the golden blues shall wave forever. We all sang it. Now 25 more until all of them, about 250 of them, we sang Hail to Pitt about 10 times. Well, all these people were standing around a refreshment stand and said, who the heck's that guy working in a stand with a pit band singing Hail to Pitt? Everybody was standing around wondering what's going on, know. So when it was done, the one gal says, will you come out and take a photo with us? I said, I'd be honored, absolutely. So I went out, I took a photo with him, and I gave him about a 2-minute talk. And all I said to them was, I said, when we were playing football at Pitt, the Pitt band was special. It created so much school spirit. I said, when that Pitt band used to come out of Gate 3 out on Pitt Stadium, and I said, it pumped us up, the guys. And I said, the Pitt band created so much school spirit.
Yeah.
Energy.
When we were playing. And I said, all of you still do that today. And I'm proud of all of you. I said, keep up the good work. And they all hollered together. About 250 of them, they all hollered, Hail to Pitt.
That's nice.
So I guess it was about 15 minutes later, Joe Barron, who's human resource director, he's come down from the main office. He said, Bill, what the heck was going on down here? He said, it's buzzing all over the park. The Pitt band was singing Hail to Pitt in front of your refreshment stand. And I told him a quick story. I said, Joe, you can understand you're a Pitt guy. He laughed. He said, I love it. So I told this reporter, I said, that's my most memorable story.
Wow.
Working here, I said, was revolved around the Pitt band. And then the other thing he said to me, I may have said this in the other podcast, I don't think. He said to me, I heard you do 777 push-ups, the reporter said. And I said, who told you that? He said, the PR director told me. When he told me to come down here to interview, he mentioned that.
Yeah.
He said, why do you do 777? That's what he says to me.
Yeah.
I forgot his last name, but his first name was Tim. I said, Tim, let me tell you something. Yes, I said, if I tell you why I do 777, I said, you won't put it in the article. He said, well, why do you do 777? I said, well, I do them from Monday to Friday. I don't do them on the weekend. And I said, I do 155 consecutive each day. And then the last day, I do a few extra ones to make it 777. But he said, well, why do you do 777? I said, that's why you won't put it in your article. And he said, well, why? I said, because 7's my favorite number. He said, why is your favorite number 7? And I said, because of the 7 last words of Christ on the cross. He didn't put it in. I knew he wouldn't. I said, you won't put that in.
Right.
And he did.
It's a shame.
He said I did 777 push-ups, but he didn't say why. Because they don't want to do that.
Nah.
And I told him, I said, you won't put it in your article. I said, your editor won't let you. When I was teaching at General Braddock, I had this one girl come up to me and told me how it warmed my heart. She told me I stopped taught home economics for 2 months because the teacher walked out.
Teach them how to make fried jumbo. That's about it.
Yeah. The home
Fried
ec
jumbo,
teacher,
scrambled eggs.
the home ec teacher couldn't take it anymore. She walked out of school in February.
Oh, my.
She said she's not coming back till report card day. So the principal, Tom Guerriere, who was a good friend, he said, Bill, you got to take over home economics. I said, Tom, home economics? I'm teaching history. He said, you got to do it, Bill, for me. You got to do it. Mrs. Rogers walked out. She's not coming back. We need somebody to take over. So I did. I went home and said to Helen, my wife, give me some menus. She couldn't figure out why. I said, I'm teaching home ec. She said, you what? So she gave me all these menus. I could see what was wrong. The teacher was teaching them how to sew. They wanted to cook.
Oh, everybody wants to eat.
And I could see that. So I said to them, look, you're going to, I laid the law down. They said that the discipline was real bad among all the kids. And I said, you're going to clean up after every day. And I said, whoever's the 2 best cooks at the end of the year, you're going to get free meals down at the Plaza Restaurant in Forest Hills. And they loved that.
Yeah.
And there's a moral to this story. And they were good for me. Man, we had steaks. We had pork chops.
Oh,
we
nice.
had chicken. The teachers loved it. I take them down to the faculty room at lunchtime, and they got all these meals. So it's the last day of school. And I'm in the office, and Tom Guerriere calls me over to principal, and there's 30 girls lined up. I said, what's going on, Tom? I said, well, here, listen. And the one girl come up and said, Mr. Priatko, we've signed a petition. We want you to be our home ec teacher next year. And I said, I'm honored, but I said, I'm going back to history. So the moral of the story is about 2 years ago, I'm working at Kennywood in my stand. And this woman walks up, and she said, Mr. Priatko. I looked at her. I said, Mabel Johnson, my 3rd period home ec class.
Here's a memory.
First row from the window. And she said, you remember me? I said, I remember you, Mabel. And this warmed my heart, I'll have to admit it. I said, of all the things in life that you wonder how working with kids pays off. And she said to me, she's got to be 45 years old now, I guess. His was in the 1970s. And she said, I never will forget, you said to me, I'm going to be a good cook and a good housewife. And my husband tells me that.
Oh, how sweet.
And she says, I owe it all to you because you told me that.
Wow.
I said, Mabel, as you warmed my heart. Yeah. As you made it all worthwhile. I said, I can't believe you remember me. She said, I can't believe you remembered me.
Yeah.
I said, you were a good cook. That's why I remembered you. So
always
those were the
special
things
people.
that I cherished and relished,
great.
from teaching, and never and I ever think I'd be a home ec teacher.
I never knew you did that.
Nobody knows that.
That's fantastic.
But it was an episode in life that brought me so much joy when that woman walked up to my refreshment stand at Kennywood.
I like the fact that you came from such modest means and you become so successful in life, but you're so humble.
Yeah,
just like Jesus was humble.
Well, I think I told this story. When I was 10 years old, I was a skinny little kid in North Braddock on Grand Street. And I used to tell the neighbors, someday I want to play for the Steelers. They laughed. They said, that little skinny Priatko kid thinks he can play for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I said, lo and behold, I wasn't exactly an all-pro guy, but I said I grew up where I was blessed to be able to play and put the black and gold on for, when I say a wonderful man, Mr. Art Rooney, Sr., the Chief. What a guy. I said I was honored to play for him. And I said, my dream came true, and when they asked me to be in that Steeler commercial here recently, and they told us what to say, and it was just 7 words. 7 words that they told me to say. And Mel Blount had to say this, and Harrison had to say his, and Ron Woodson. So they told me what to say. They said, back when we played, it was tough. 7 words.
Yeah.
That's what they had me say.
It was tough back when you
And
played.
he said, well, what they wanted me to say, I
Wouldn't say it.
I wasn't going to say it. I think I may have said this to you. I was not going to say it because they wanted me to say, back when we played, we were tougher.
Yeah.
I said, I can't say that.
Nah.
My buddy Dick LeBeau would hang me. I said, I'm going to say we're better than his defenses or anybody else, the Super Bowl guys. I said, I can't say that. So I told him. So then that's when they changed it. When I was in high school, it made me think. I told Mike Marchinsky, who's the Steeler alumni director, he laughed about it. He said, Bill, I like that story. He said, we had you say 7 words in a commercial, and you told us about 7 words when you were a senior in high school, right? And I said, yes. I said, our English teacher told me I was going to be in the Christmas play. And all I had to say in the Christmas play was, there is no room in the inn.
That's 7 words.
7 words.
Yeah.
There was no room in the inn. And I told Miss Miller, I says, I'm going to goof up. I was like you know, speech. I said, I stood in front of the mirror in my house every day for 2 weeks, stand there. There's no room in the inn. And I kept emphasizing, I said, I'm going to forget my words. 7 words, there's no room in the inn. And Miss Miller would say, oh, Billy, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. You know, like Kathy's saying to you.
Oh, yeah, Kathy helped me.
And she gave me strength to say to myself, I can say there's no room in the inn,
Right.
you know. And so I did for that Christmas play, and I said, here it is. All those years later, they got me saying 7 words in
Your
a
lucky
Steeler
number,
commercial.
right? Your number of 7.
That's my 7,
You're
you know.
back to 7.
Back to
Yeah, that was my dad's favorite.
I said, how life
Was
is.
it?
Oh, yeah, 777. My dad,
He'd play that,
he
huh?
played it. He was obsessed with that number.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it's biblical in nature.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it's a 7. I looked it up one day on a computer, how many times 7 are in the Bible. It's amazing how the word 7 is in the Bible.
Yeah, it's
And
biblical.
of course, the 7 last words of Christ, you know.
Yeah. So that's
Your dad said 777. That cost me, I don't know, $40,000 or $50,000.
Playing a number.
I don't play them now. I never played them. I'm working at Robert Morris in the athletics department. Remind me when you said that about your dad.
yeah.
And in those days, when I worked in the athletics department, if we wanted to call another school, another college, we had to go through our school operator. We'd call her, and she'd give us the number.
Oh, okay.
She'd dial it for us. So I had to call this small college up in New York athletic department, and I said to our receptionist, she said, what's the number, Bill? I said, it's 777-7777. And she said, that's all 7.
That's 7 sevens.
Yes. And I said to her, I didn't think about that. I said, yeah. She said, Bill, you should play that today on a number.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I said to her, well, I've never played it. She
Yeah.
said, well, you should today. I said, you know what? I'm going to, in the Norwin Shopping Center, there's a tobacco place.
Yeah, that little tobacco place in the corner there,
You could play the number at that time.
Yeah.
I said, I should wrote myself a note. I said, I come home, I'm going to stop in there and play 777. I said, I've never done this. So I got home. I'm sitting with Helen at the supper table, ready to watch the 6 o'clock news at WT. I said, you know what I forgot? I said to her. She said, well, you probably saved some money. And they come up on Channel 4. Today's number, they said,
Oh, my.
777. And I said,
Oh, my.
why didn't I play it? I don't know. I said, it wasn't meant to be.
Right. Yeah, you can't look
Anyway,
back on it.
when your dad said that 777 hit my life too.
That's the only number he ever played, but he probably didn't play it on that day because I don't remember him winning.
Right.
Yeah.
But he only would play that number because because of it's tied to the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, this has been
Is there
a
anything
wonderful
we forgot?
time.
We got it all?
Yeah, we covered everything that we wanted to talk about. But Bill, hey, thank you for coming in. I don't know. Every time I say this might be your last time on, I want you to. I don't
Come
want
back
to. I don't want
again.
them to ever end. We want you to. It wouldn't be nice for you to be like part of the show every time.
Right now.
And we'd interview other people.
Oh, I got a feeling this is the last one, and it's probably the one that I will remember being with you guys again, because you're so kind to me. And God only knows how long I'll be around, but He knows.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm grateful, because I can't say how many more times I could ever do this. So that's why I'm grateful to be here.
Well, I think you got many days left ahead of you, but either way, we want to get all your stories captured, because they'll be forever online. People will have access to this forever. And that's why we want to do this show.
And you know what? We're blessed to have you. To really to have you,
the opposite.
To know you and have
one.
You here and be able to talk about such great life. And our listeners are too. I mean, so many people have reached back and said, "Man, that man's amazing. His stories are great. Your voice, I can't believe they didn't put you on the radio. Your voice,
should have been the announcer.
You should have been on the radio, for gosh sakes.
You sound like great radio voice.
You have a John Wayne type of voice.
Oh
on
my
there.
goodness!
Wow.
I'm blessed in that respect. How many years I was the MC for the Westmoreland County Scholar Athlete Dinner. I just enjoyed that. Yeah, honoring those high school student athletes. I did that for maybe 15 years or so, I guess, and then I was the MC over at the Mon Valley Sports Hall of Fame banquet. We inducted a lot of great guys, including Joe Montana. Up there at Ringgold, and so many others, and so I've been blessed. And I said, how blessed can I said, the good Lord has been blessing me in the twilight of my life with some things, that I'm being honored with, and I can understand why.
Oh, you deserve it. You touch a lot of people in a great way.
How special you are and caring.
Yeah, good man.
And I'm so blessed and thankful to be here again with you two guys. You guys are special, and Chris knows that his wife was special to me as a teacher.
Yep.
And that's why I invited him to my birthday party.
She probably went into teaching because of people like you. She don't go. She retired from teaching 30 years because she had great teachers like yourself that she remembered from, ninth grade and other folks.
I think about that now with my Kathy teaching at Penn Trafford,
Yeah.
And now her son teaching at Norwin. Here's Kathy, a Norwin grad, teaching at Penn Trafford, and here's her son who played football at Penn Trafford. He's teaching at Norwin. I said, how life is.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yes.
Yeah. People learn from one another, and they want to share what they've been treated to.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis had said to me when he was over our house for Thanksgiving, he said, Pap, you have to have another podcast and tell them tell them about the Angels in the outfield and some other things.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. I said, well, Chris said he would call me, but I said he's busy, and I said, if that happens, I'll be grateful, and it did happen, so I'm grateful.
We're blessed to have you for the holidays, too. For Christmas to have you here, it's fantastic.
Yeah.